SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar. It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right.
Hey folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. Grateful for you tuning in. Excited about today's guest. Been on as much as anybody that has ever been on. But we're going to be celebrating his brand new book. It's finally come out. #1 on Amazon right now. Tearing it up. And also this incredible retreat that he is planning for Sun Valley, Idaho. But before we get to there, let's talk about Mississippi, the birthplace of America's music. You know, Idaho's pretty dang nice, but this guy loves to come visit every year, help support our foundation, help support kids in Mississippi. That's the kind of guy he is. Go to visitmississippi.org and celebrate this hallowed ground we call Mississippi. All right, I love this man and obviously dig having him on the show. He's survived many weather tests in his career as a football star, as a mountain climber, all 7 summits. He's climbed every one of them. What he saw on the way up, crazy. I just don't even get it. From a standout and prolific college football career, where he wound up being in the Hall of Fame at the University of Washington Huskies, to his NFL career, catching the rock all over the field for my New Orleans Saints, and then his Oakland Raiders, now the LA Raiders, now the Vegas Raiders. When he went through some troubled times, well documented, very vulnerable in his approach, talking to people about going down into this low spot after giving up football. It's something he had done his whole life and having to rediscover himself. He found that in many ways, but climbing all 7 summits. His film, made by NFL Films 360, won an Emmy, Searching for the Summit. He has been a staple, like I said, down here in Mississippi. His podcast, Finding Your Summit, is actually the title of his new book. And his new book, like I said, is on Amazon. I've been waiting for this thing for a long time. This book is going to be so crazy inspirational for you all. If you're gone through tough times in your life, if you're in the middle of them, if you've overcome them, if you haven't, you got to read this book. It will set you free. And we're also going to dig into his new retreat, September 18th and 20th, this year in Sun Valley, Idaho. Like I said, 7 Summits Summit. So go to markpattisonnfl.com to find out more. Without further ado, my pal, keynote speaker, podcaster, mountain climber, pro football star, author, Mark Pattison. What's up, Mark?
Movie maker too.
What do we got? Come on.
Movie maker. Right now. Listen, I appreciate that. And maybe I should just shut up. But, you were talking about the book, and I'm really proud about that. It took me 2 years to write. And I'll tell you another thing. Probably the hardest thing I've ever done, because I'm not a natural writer, and just to sit down and think about your life sequence and what would be important to somebody else. And the sort of the tagline on there, which is the most important, is how to overcome peaks and valleys. And that's the big one, valleys. And I've been through a lot of valleys, with faith and resilience. And then, of course, once you're down, you want to climb back out and hit the peak. And hopefully you're in a better spot than where you started.
Well, I'm just going to say this can't be the hardest thing you've ever done, because you had to endure a lot of obstacles along the way in your college and pro football career. You had to stay healthy. Also, when you got out of football, you went through a tough time. You said, like I said, well documented, not afraid to talk about it. That's tough. And then climbing these 7 summits and seeing death, which I didn't even like to use the word like that. I mean, I feel like I need to stop and pray. But you saw things that most people don't get to see unless they go to war or something. So climbing those summits and how dangerous it was. And then now you're talking about this being the toughest thing. As a songwriter, I get it. Sometimes telling the truth and being honest and putting it on paper and seeing it written down can be a tough journey, and it can be a difficult thing. So this is basically this self-help book, right? That's a blueprint for anyone ready to take their life, career, or team to the next level. And you'll find strategies for a lot of things like building resilience, and the list goes on. How did the process start to go, I'm finally going to put this down and finally going to write this book?
Well, I've had a lot of people come at me, and what I mean about the hardest thing is I always was talented. I had a natural talent to play football and play sports. I know you did too. Added natural talent to go up things that are steep. I power up. I've got powerful legs. And so, and I do well at altitude. So that was much easier, even though it's really extremely hard. And you got to train for that, and you got to work your ass off. But I was more just naturally talented. And then you have to hone those skills. I'm just not a natural writer. I can write a sentence. I can write a paragraph. I can write anybody an email. But when you structure that in a way that some people that's what their gifts are. And when you go to sometimes when people do this, they go to a publishing house and they'll actually find a very well-established author, a writer that will come and help you along with this process. And so, to really understand how you put together a book and the structure and all that kind of stuff was just all new territory for me. And again, I think you have to look at the other side of the fence. What would somebody else think that would be interesting? When you're writing a song, you're writing it for yourself, and I get all that, but you're also like, what would also be interesting in terms of what somebody's listening to on the other side, and how is this going to actually resonate with that person?
That's sort of the give and take. Those become one thing at some point, because usually you're inspired by something you see that's outside your own household or your own life or your own career, that's inspiring. So it's real. So at that point, that's a great point you made. Where do you start? So you think about how many pages is this book?
225.
So 225 pages. You don't start it, you don't see the end of it, or maybe you do, and then you fill in the blanks and fill in the gaps. But how did you start this book? Where in your life do you start?
Well, actually, that's a great question. And I start at the top of the world. So, if you can imagine this, I'm at 29,032 feet. I'm snowblind. I haven't eaten in 3 days. I'm running low on oxygen, and my Sherpa has now decided to go back down the mountain. And I'm asking myself, how in the hell am I going to get off this? Knowing that on my way back down, I have to step back over my tent mate from 2019 in Antarctica, Don Cash, who's laying there just over the Hillary Step. And I still have 9 hours to go. That's where I start this book, right? And so I wanted the intensity to start where I'm sitting there on top of the mountain, the most miserable time I've ever been in my life, especially after thinking that you've gone through this moment where you think would be the pinnacle of success. And it's not. It's my dread. And knowing that I've got still 9 more hours to climb back down through the death zone just to get back to my high camp at 26,500 feet. That's where I start. And then I peel it back going, okay, let's go back to where this drive came for, because ultimately it's all going to come full circle around, because I'm going to need that drive to get my ass back off the mountain and get back down to the bottom and get out of Nepal and get back to the States and fly down to
the Mississippi Delta.
Which is exactly what I did. The Mississippi, your
how much weight were you down when you showed up before?
I was down 35 pounds. I look like you.
By the time you left here, that's funny. By the time you left here and we fed you like we did you gain half of it back?
Yeah, you took me down to Doe's and just stuffed me full of steak and grits and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
it's what we do down here. It's what we do.
I know.
We bookend it, and everything else is food in the middle of the book, and the golf is sort of part of it. Mark Pattison is my guest today. Finding Your Summit, the new book on Amazon. It's out where you buy anywhere else besides Amazon, or is that your place?
Yeah. For right now, that's the place. That's the home.
That makes a lot of sense. They started out as a company that sold books, by the way. Visit Mississippi.org. Check it out. Also, we're going to dig into 7 Summit and talk about the website. But you can go to markpattisonnfl.com and get all this information. Excited about joining him at this retreat in Sun Valley in September, being part of that, and learning. We'll see you in just a bit. Don't go nowhere. You're on SuperTalk Mississippi.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. October 14th, 1947, from a Boeing B-29 bomber, U.S. Air Force pilot Chuck Yeager descended into the Bell X-1, a sleek orange plane which he dubbed the glamorous Glennis. At 20,000 feet, the X-1 launched from the B-29 and soared 30,000, 40,000, 42,000 feet into the sky. Yeager accelerated faster until Chuck Yeager reached Mach 1.06 and broke the sound barrier. It was a flight many believed to be impossible, but Chuck Yeager's historic achievement helped Americans reach new heights and test new limits. For more on this impactful moment in history, go to FoxNewsPodcast.com. I'm Bill Hemmer, Fox News.
If you're ever
Right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
On precious stone, dangling off heaven's shoulder, wide-eyed, and it's time to go down.
Time to kick back into In a Mississippi Minute. Section 2, Part 2. Excited about my guest today, Mark Pattison. You can go to markpattisonnfl.com to find out about his new book. You can go to Amazon and buy it right now, Finding Your Summit. It is one serious read and motivational beyond motivation. Visit Mississippi.org. You know how I feel about that. I hope I motivate you all to check that website out and plan a trip to your Mississippi. Bring your friends in from all over the country and celebrate this very cool ground that we live on. It's the best ever. Sun Valley, Idaho will be the target for 7 Summit. See, I can't keep up with all the summit stuff. That's all I've got to say. September 18th through the 20th in Sun Valley, Idaho. Mark, how can folks, I want to talk more about the book in a minute. I'm not leaving that yet, but I'm jumping a little bit. How can folks be a part of it? You know, how do they take, obviously Sun Valley, Idaho, you love this place. It's become your new home. And it's going to be a great event, and who's going to be there and who's involved?
Yeah, so let me tell you about how this all came around. So again, going back to 2021, I came back to Sun Valley after Mississippi, right? And they were having this crazy race down here called Everesting, which is essentially people crawl in a tent for a weekend, and then they go up and down, they go up and down, they go up and down 16 different times to equate the same distance that theoretically you'd be climbing if you were going to actually do Everest, but you do it on my mountain here in Sun Valley, Idaho, called Baldy. And so that's 16 times going throughout the night. People are miserable. And I was just like, I can't believe the amount of people, including the people I saw on Mount Everest, that are there. They're paying the kind of money that they're paying, that come to an event like this here in Sun Valley, that are willing to put themselves through all that pain and suffering and staying in a tent. It was 90 degrees and everything else. And there's no showers. And there's no.
You're paying for that?
Yeah, they're paying. They're paying.
I'm not paying for that.
Yeah, no, I'm not paying for that either. You know, actually, I just said, they said, "Do you want to do it?" I go, "No, I just did that." So I don't need to do it. So, anyways, to me, there's some missing components, and as I was looking into the Spartan races and everything else, and they're all great, and 10Ks are great, and ultras are great, and all that kind of stuff. But I said, I want to do something with a little bit more impact on 2 levels. Number one, when you go and you jump into the mountains, you do things like that, you get all fired up, and there's a goal for you to go after. So that's very inspiring, right? It's motivating and inspiring to go after something like that. So all the races that are out there in the world typically have that element to it. The second element that actually I meant to say aspirational. My aspirations are running down this mountain 100 times, go climb Mount Everest, do these other things. The point that the thing that I saw that was missing was the inspirational point of why people come. And when you gather 225 people in a certain room and you have them gathered, to me, it's an opportunity to also speak to them about things that they could do to improve their life, because everybody's looking for something and looking to improve, or maybe they're stuck and they're trying to figure those things out. Mm-hmm. So I brought to Sun Valley Mariel Hemingway. Her grandfather is probably the most famous writer, author in the history.
Small guy named Ernest.
Ernest Hemingway. And Mariel herself has been in probably 100 films, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
And she's got multiple books, and she got all kinds of stuff, and she's a friend of mine, and she's going to come, she's going to speak. One of her key elements is all about the mental health. That's one. Number 2, Tom Flick, 8-year NFL quarterback, played for the Washington Redskins, Cleveland Browns, some other people. He was my quarterback at the University of Washington, took us to the Rose Bowl as the captain of the team. He's been on the motivation speaking circuit for the last 30 years. He is absolutely magic. He's absolutely incredible. And he's going to talk about resilience and some other things that people can do to achieve their goals. There's another guy, John Foley. He was a lead pilot of the Blue Angels, those guys that fly upside down like 6 inches from each other going 600 miles per hour. He's that guy, talking about precision, talking about really honing in on what you need to do to make that next step in your life. I've got yourself. We're going to do kind of an MTV style. And, some of the things I'm going to be talking to you about is longevity. Like, how does somebody like you stay in this business? We're going to go through and talk about some different songs, how you were inspired, and you're going to play them in front of this big audience.
Yeah.
Here
I like that Q&A style kind of, right?
Yeah.
I like
and then the last guy, besides myself talking, about some of my journey and things like that, is Shep Rose. Shep Rose is on Southern Charm. He's been there for 11 years. He's a massive star in the reality TV business. He's a good dude. He's got a crazy life and he's got a life that I don't lead, but it's interesting on that standpoint. And he's also really trying to find how he can take his popularity and really springboard that by doing good for others. And the last point on all those, so I talked about the inspiration, which is, these different speakers coming in like you, thank you, Tucson Valley. The aspirational, which we're going to actually get out on the mountain and we're going to climb 3 different hills around here. I call them hills. You might call them Mount Everest, but there's going to be
my back's hurting right now. I think my back hurts. Hurting?
No, look at it's going to be doable. We're going to kind of have a.
Can't we just play basketball?
Or we can do that too. We've got a beginner, an intermediate, and advanced, right? So you can sign up for which one that you want to be on. And then the last one, and I think the most important thing, this is something that's so near and dear to your heart, which is when you do the Delta Soul, you're giving all that money that you bring in down there to do good for other people. And so we have a group called Higher Ground, and it's all about trying to really empower military vets who've had a rough time. They've lost limbs and a lot of PTSD, and bring them into Sun Valley and have them do ski down the mountain, river raft, go golfing, get them out. Just because they're disabled doesn't mean they can't still participate fully in life. And so we're going to be giving away a lot of money of the vet that comes in here to Higher Ground.
I love that. Higher Ground, you've been talking about them for a lot of years. You are a fan of everything that they do. Is it just for our troops and soldiers, injured warriors, or they spread the floor with a lot of different charities?
Yeah, it's mainly that. It's mainly that group. I tied in with epilepsy. People suffer through that too. My daughter, has that, and right. And so it's not necessarily exclusive, but we're still in the planning stages. The site will go live probably at the time of this podcast that goes out. But if you go to 7summit.com, or you can go to Mark Pattison NFL. You mentioned that website, my website, a little bit earlier. You can find the event, and you can just go right from there. But you're staying at the world famous Sun Valley Lodge, founded by the Austrians here in the middle of Idaho, back in the 20s. We've got famous movie stars walking all over here. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you'll probably run into him. And a lot of other people. Mariel, she's one of them.
Hey, I'm going to climb Arnold instead of any hill out there or mountain, if you don't mind.
You know what? You can just start with his calves and start walking around.
Yeah, you're not lying.
Right?
So funny.
But you know what? It's going to be awesome. It's going to be high energy. It's all these people like you are so positive. They're going to come in and, between this book that I've launched out, and it's kind of crazy to be all kind of like, avalanching all this stuff at one time, but that's just the way I roll. And it's just the timing of the way this all worked out. I've got these amazing guys out of the UK that do events all over the world. They're helping me organize this whole thing. I've got the right people coming, and now we're going to turn it loose to the world. And we hope that we will fill 150 people. And I think it's going to fly just because there's so many people that need to be inspired and be lifted up. And we want to do that for them.
7summitsummit.com, the number 7, correct?
Nope. 7, SEVEN summits. Yeah. So 7 Summit, but the easier link of all this, that's the name of the conference, the 7 Summit Summit. But just go to my website,
Mark Pattison,
NFL.com, go over to events, click it up, and you'll see the whole thing.
An immersive executive retreat curated by Mark Pattison for leaders ready to make the impossible possible. I'm looking on the website right now. What's your Everest? The Calling. I want to dig into that in a minute. But most importantly, we want to celebrate his book that's finally out, which is called Finding Your Summit. It's available on Amazon, 225 pages of inspiration. Please check it out. It is a vulnerable read. It's the real thing. It's honest. And he's gone through it, and he's come out on top of the mountain. We'll be right back. Go to visitmississippi.org. I'm Steve Azar.
Watch me fly. I'm gonna fly.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
You know that nowadays, most people go online to look at a business before they spend their money. What if the online information about your business is incorrect, or even worse, not very flattering? If your online presence isn't great, you may be losing customers. STMM Digital's trusted and highly trained team is the answer. We're ready to work with you to help your business capitalize on the power of digital marketing. Call 601-991-2305 or go to stmmdigital.com to get started today. In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Back with my pal Mark Pattison. Go to markpattisonnfl.com. Check out the new book, Finding Your Summit, or go to Amazon and buy the book, Finding Your Summit, an inspirational read, guys. I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind. Mark's story is as real and honest and challenging as any I've ever seen. And a lot of this has been self-inflicted because he puts himself through some of the unimaginable things that people dream about. Mark's been the dreamer that's gone and just figured out how to work hard enough to get there. He's a believer. Also, he puts in the time. Visit Mississippi.org. Put the time in. Celebrate your Mississippi. You know, I'm a believer in that. And that is the way it is. All right, let's talk more about this 7 Summit Summit. September 18th through 20, Sun Valley, Idaho, The Calling. Life brings challenges. Leaders choose which ones define them. I love that. Your Everest represents the deliberate pursuit of growth, a standard that demands clarity, resilience, and courage. This isn't about reaching the top. It's about expanding your capacity to lead under pressure. You've been in the huddle. You played with a whole lot of great quarterbacks, a lot of leaders. How important is that to have the right guy in the huddle at the right time in any walk of life?
Well, you know, I want to go back to the first thing when you came back with your opening and just make one last comment on that, which is your pain today is your reward tomorrow, right? And there's nothing that is tough that you, Steve, I know that, you know, you and I go way back to the late 80s.
Yep.
And, you know, you've had your moments in time of reflection of when things maybe weren't going so well. And you just knew that you just had to keep grinding and putting in the time, and good things happen to you, you know, by doing that. So your pain today is your reward tomorrow. And don't forget about that. I also think, like, within leadership, so a lot of people don't know I ran Sports Illustrated for the last 10 years. I took it from number 17, number 1. So when I start talking about, you know, which I detail in this book, it's just not about my mountain climbing. It's just not about playing in the NFL, and like, here's another jock story telling their, back in the day when I caught the big touchdown, but it's also the business side of it too. And I've had my ups and I've had my downs, and when I come down every single time, I've always come back every single time.
Let me just break in real quick. I've never heard you talk about the catches you made in clutch, really. Maybe one time in 100 interviews or 100,000 conversations we've had. That is not what you dwell on. So continue, because it's been more about the next day of your life. I love how you move forward, but I didn't want to interrupt you, but I can verify that I don't ever hear you talking about the catches you made.
Yeah, and a lot of people equate that to, when you're driving down the street and you have your rear view mirror up there and you're looking back, and it's this small, like 2x6 thing that's sitting up on top of your windshield. And for me, my whole thing has always been about what's in front, what's the next thing. Yeah. Think of all the things I haven't accomplished, and let's go after that, versus dwell on those small things that happened 40 years ago. Who cares, right? But they are life lessons. And one of the things I've learned, and I've transitioned this thing back into leadership, which is this thing called servant leadership, right? And I've just seen so many examples of the senior guys who are being fired and moving around and lying and deceiving and stealing and taking people's bonuses away, and the insecurity of not trying to put themselves under the people lower in the organization so they can lift them up, and having the secure enough ego that they can lead, and again, called servant leadership. And I just constantly see this. And so I think that part of that is constantly communicating with other top leaders to see what those characteristics are, to see where they're falling, to see how they can fill those gaps. And this is one of the things I think the Seven Summit here in Sun Valley, Idaho, September 18th to the 20th, we're also going to deliver. People who've been in those moments, and people who can really talk about, what servant leadership is all about, and the characteristics, integrity, true North Star, things like that, to drive forward.
The game. You've won the financial game, now playing the game of life. Comfort is the enemy of fulfillment. I hear you talking about this a lot, in different variations sometimes, but I get the sense of this. Real purpose is found in the arena, pursuing a challenge that scares you enough to make you feel alive again. Don't just exist, rise and ascend.
I think, and I used to say this to a lot of the people that work for me at Sports Illustrated, is that as we were continuing to double, and what we did had never been done in the history of sports media. And I kept saying, success breeds complacency. And you see this all the time, right? You're just not as hungry. You're just not as hungry as you were.
Because now you can afford to eat. Now you can afford to eat.
Yeah. Now the money's coming in, and fat cats, happen, and all this stuff. And so, and that also is one of the things that I get this all the time, Steve. It's just like, why don't you just stop? Why do you have to go climb another mountain? And why do you have to do this? And why do you have to do that? Like, we just relax. Don't you know how to relax? I had somebody suggest that I need therapy. And I go, I don't need therapy. I'll tell you what I need is another challenge. That's what I need, right? Yeah. Because again, that I recognize that over this course of history, and I've had so many former teammates of mine who are amazing people that have fallen in this trap, that what they did was 40 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it is, that I just don't want to get complacent just because now I've found a new path of success with Sports Illustrated. I stepped away from it a couple months ago, and it's just like, I need a whole new challenge. This whole new challenge for me is putting on the summit. That's a big challenge. The whole new challenge for me is writing this book. Yeah. My whole new challenge is now I'm going out in public speaking. I've got a bunch of gigs. I've got one actually over in Croatia, which is going to be super fun. But, it's just getting up in front of people and telling these types of stories, and like, what are the new horizons? And I'm kind of going back to where it's all started, which is at the bottom, to fight my ass off to get back to the top of the summit, so I don't get complacent about just sitting on top and doing the same thing till I just ride it out. And that fat cats, get slaughtered, as they say.
I have a really an idea about you. I can't imagine you just laying on the couch for a day. I mean, I don't know. it just doesn't make any sense. So I get that about you. Complacency can be the source of things going south. You want to celebrate. You know, it's when I started to have success, the success I needed to be able to have this conversation with you today, the real success on a national level and in different countries and stuff outside the United States that I dreamed about and worked for. I never, I think I anticipated this moment of celebration, but there was never a celebration. It was like, okay, I was writing 80 songs that year, preparing for the next album. I was touring 180 dates. I mean, I was trying to be a good dad, to one new baby and 2 kids and my bride and all this. And I'm telling you, it was a lot, but it wasn't enough. Meaning I was really at a point where bring it on. I don't care. I've waited my life for this. And I was definitely looking ahead, but you have obstacles in your life that come that are out of your control. So I want to talk about what happens when you're that person out there listening that's going, I'm doing everything right and I'm getting to the goal line, I'm punching it in and I'm not seeing 6 points show up on the scoreboard because something around you, elements, people around you are still not allowing you all the way in to feel like you accomplished something. My pal, Mark Pattison, is my guest today. Go to markpattisonnfl.com. Check out his new book, Finding Your Summit. It's all over Amazon. It's been #1. It's rocking. We'll be right back. Visit Mississippi.org. Never an afterthought. Take a ride on the country music trail markers. You're going to end up in Greenville, Mississippi with me in front of Jim's Cafe. Go in and hug my girl, Evelyn. She's the best. We'll be right back. I'm Steve Azar.
Saw the light, sun came up in the middle of the night, been doing it wrong for so long. I sure ought to know what it finally feels like. I sure ought to know what it finally feels like. I sure ought to know what it finally feels like. You've been doing it, I'm doing it right. I'm still trying to find my way.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. October 14th, 1947, from a Boeing B-29 bomber, U.S. Air Force pilot Chuck Yeager descended into the Bell X-1, a sleek orange plane which he dubbed the glamorous Glennis. At 20,000 feet, the X-1 launched from the B-29 and soared 30,000, 40,000, 42,000 feet into the sky. Yeager accelerated faster until Chuck Yeager reached Mach 1.06 and broke the sound barrier. It was a flight many believed to be impossible, but Chuck Yeager's historic achievement helped Americans reach new heights and test new limits. For more on this impactful moment in history, go to foxnewspodcast.com. I'm Bill Hemmer, Fox News.
The best made part of, and we're in too deep. Yeah, we're in cold water.
Got a short segment left with one big man doing big things in life and a big friend of mine, Mark Pattison. Go to markpattisonnfl.com, Pattison, NFL.com. His new book, Finding Your Summit, is out. His retreat, work retreat, inspirational retreat, 7 Summit. You'll find out all the information about that. That's September 18 to 20 in Sun Valley, Idaho. There is a map that I've seen. You can draw a line from the Mississippi Delta, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, the hills of Mississippi, the pines of Mississippi, you name it, every nook and cranny of Mississippi. And there's actually a way to get to Sun Valley, Idaho. I've seen it. I've been there. And he's come. He says it's a tough thing, Mark. My guest today says it's really tough to get here. And I'm going like, well, it's tough to get there. It's a two-way street here. Mark, let's continue to talk about the Seven Summit in September. The experience. Clarity doesn't happen in a conference room. It happens on the mountain. So whatever mountain you guys are trying to accomplish, whatever feat you're trying to accomplish, I guess Mark is saying, we provide the elite framework, the world-class guides, and the rope team. You bring the grit. This is where inspiration meets perspiration.
Preparation.
Preparation H? No, I did not.
Yeah.
What did I say? Preparation? Or did I say? Yeah. I like perspiration a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
No? Okay, never mind.
But let's go back to what you were just talking about, which is you being, what you were talking about is being stuck. This is before you took a break, right? And the question was, how do you get out of that? And that kind of blends in with clarity, right? And so for me, I think, one of the things that the mountains have given me is an opportunity to get away from your phone and the computer and get out when you're in nature. This is just my opinion. When you're in nature, like anybody who comes out to the Seven Summit here in Sun Valley, Idaho for our conference in September, you will find. But there's birds chirping and, the yellows and the oranges and the reds of the trees that popping and the aspens. And there's, you see elk running by everywhere and there's bears and everything else. And it's just amazing. And so the creativity of having alone time, of just not all this noise coming in and all the social media and those types of things, to me has given me a lot of clarity. So that's one. Number two is, I think, like negative voices, you can't be walking around with negative weight on your back. And so if you have people in your life that are dragging you down, saying you can't do it, you have a new idea, you're trying to be supportive, whatever it is, and they're not all in on just whatever it is, I love you unconditionally, and there's no judgment, and I'm here to support you in any way that you need, because there's so many people that are those negative Nellies that drag you down and you can't fly with weight on your back. And then the last thing, part of this book, one of the things that you were talking about, finding your summit, my head coach, and we've talked about this before in your show, but I actually, put it in here, which is my summits model, which is essentially how do you accomplish things with the seed. You see your summit, SUMMITS, your seed, you unleash it, you move it, measure it, improve it, traverse, and then you ultimately summit. And get to your peak that you're trying to get to, and how you do that and how you go along. If you go to my website, actually, www.markpattersonnfl, I give you away all the secrets in a PDF 65-page thing I wrote on Denali at 14,200 feet in a blizzard for 5 days of minus 40 degrees. It's called What's Your Everest? And it goes through point by point how you unlock what you want to do. And you could be a chair maker, a woodworker, a bell whistler. You could be knitting. It's not literally climbing Mount Everest. It's metaphorical on how you get out of that stuck spot and move into the lane of life and get going.
All right. What else we got? You got about a minute and a half to make me feel good.
No. Look at. I'm hoping that people will come out here and, on sticking on the book for a minute. I've somehow or another been able to win a Emmy for Best Picture for a movie called Searching for the Summit. You talked about it before. 10 years at serving as the Sports Illustrated exec. Everest, all the seven summits, the Matterhorn, the Eiger, Mount Blanc, the Grand Teton, Mount Rainier, Whitney. I mean, I've got hundreds of mountains, and so I think there's some people, and there's no wrong in this, but there's some people who study people like me on, what makes them tick and everything else. And that's great. And they tell great stories, and they're amazing at that in terms of being a public speaker. Every single thing that comes out of my mouth is the things that I have lived. I've been through a divorce. My dad, about the same time, died of a stroke, and that was awful. Right. And I've had business challenges, and there was a point in time where I started a gaming company that we won Toy of the Year in 2001 and 2002, which is impossible because it's a little teeny tiny guy going against Mattel and Hasbro and those people. And then at some point in time, it was just like, I could see the internet was going to become a thing. And so I just kind of shut all my business down and said, I'm going to pivot again, reinvent myself again. Yeah. And I'm going to go figure out the internet and what that means. And, I basically went to the University of Google, to learn how to do all this stuff in terms of being an effective executive for Sports Illustrated and leading people in a new way of doing journalism. So anyways, it all comes together in this book, in this conference that we're going to do in September, all about just real life experiences from me and sharing them to you. And hopefully you don't have to spend the amount of money that I spent doing all these things to figure out how to get the secrets of life.
I love it. I love it. Well, that says it all. Our guest, Mark Pattison, the book, Finding Your Summit, is out on Amazon, 7 Summit. You can find it at markpattisonnfl.com, the retreat in Sun Valley, Idaho that will change your life, September 18th through 20. Grateful to be a part of it. Visit Mississippi.org. Celebrate your Mississippi. You know, I'm a believer. Love you guys. Blessings. Mark, thank you, pal. I appreciate you so much.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.